As we all sit here waiting for Cardano Vaso hard fork to commence, ADA price has tested key support, failsafe support, that we talked about a week ago. In this video, we're going to break down that support and talk about the current trend in this bear market and what is next for ADA to the upside and to the downside. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Crypto Capital Venture. Hit the subscribe and like on the way in, and let's just jump into the ADA video real quick. Before I even dig into the charts, before we talk about everything going on right now, this area in green, this is essentially my heavy accumulation area. I want to discuss that in this video. We're going to get to that. I want to explain why this entire descending, broadening descending pattern that's going on here, this huge wedge, it's a bear market wedge that Cardano is in right now. Some really interesting data kind of forming here that I just discovered and wanted to talk about as well. Real quick, IOHK tweeting a little bit ago, basically progressing towards a Vaso mainnet upgrade. So a few things need to happen. Number one has already happened. 75% of mainnet blocks being created by the final Vaso node candidate, 1.35.3. And in case you're unaware, CCV pools, our nodes have been updated for days now, so we're all good on that front. And this is a green checkbox right here. So two more things need to happen. The completion of this one, approximately 25 exchanges upgraded. I believe there's a couple that are upgraded. Top 10 dApps by TVL confirming they've upgraded to 1.35.3 on pre-production and are ready for mainnet. So cruising along here, you can see 77% on 1.35.3 for Blocks protocol version, Epic 360. So cool to see that. Really getting close. Going to continue tracking this. This was tweeted, I think, around 7 hours ago or so as I do this video. But we're getting close to Vaso, and it's a really big deal for Cardano. So let's dive over here into these charts. This is the daily chart. Now, before I really dive in and talk about this accumulation area and what I'm thinking there and my mind there, I want to start zoomed in on these charts. Here's a 6-hour chart because what just happened is something we've been kind of waiting for, preparing for at the very least. And I want to take a quick clip from August 22nd, 7 days ago. Right now, from where ADA trades around 46 cents to that lower trend line, we're looking at around 10% to the downside. ADA has a little bit of a 10% fail-safe cushion. That white trend line, what it is it's an exact lower trend. A fail-safe cushion. And you can see we didn't quite hit that lower trend line there in white, but you can see ADA falling between this dotted line, which is a macro trend line that goes all the way back to 2018. And you can see it. We talk about it all the time, that yellow trend line, October, November area, 2018. It's that trend line and going back to the 6-hour, and it's this white trend line, which is a a higher low area for ADA on these charts. And you can see ADA hit a similar area back here in the last higher low. This was July 13th. So here we are, August 29th as I do the video. ADA bouncing off of this range right now, that range of support. We called it a fail-safe, called it a cushion, and that's where we are right now. So when we look at the daily chart and everything that's happening, as I do this video, we just had a new daily candle opening. We look at this daily chart. The thing I want to just observe before discussing this area and potential breakout to the upside is this. If you look at the daily charts, right now, ADA is kind of in this higher low on the momentum oscillator, and that's extending all the way from this previous swing low in May. So right now, ADA on this slower moving momentum oscillator, kind of putting in some higher low structure, I guess you can say, or I should say consolidations, some sideways trading here on the RSI. And from that area, the stock RSI, quicker moving momentum oscillator, is oversold, coming out of oversold. There's a potential for a breakout to the upside. Now, this could be a very big deal for ADA on these charts simply because of this. And this is what I want to discuss. Not only have we been talking about and tracking how ADA has been getting kind of squeezed, and we're looking for just a momentum turn overall, and we're looking for the condensing of these moving averages, and obviously they are. We have this 20-day moving average getting ready, or actually pretty much is just crossing below the 50-day moving average. That's not a good thing for ADA. But if these are going to get squeezed together, it can be okay if they just kind of trade sideways along with ADA, and then we get the 20-day back above the 50. We need the momentum shift to happen like right now. I know there's a lot going on with stock market and Bitcoin and interest rates and inflation and all of these other things. So, and this is why I want to discuss the heavy buy zone down here because of that. We want to be prepared. But from just a purely technical analysis perspective, this consolidation that has been happening has set Cardano up off of this fail-safe support for a breakout to the upside. Absolutely. If not this trend line right here, the upper trend line of this falling broadening wedge. What I wanted to talk about was descending broadening wedges. Now, this is what kind of caught my eye today. This is the patternsite.com. This is Bulkowski. I follow a lot of his data. I've learned a lot from this TA artist, I guess you can say. But in descending broadening wedges, he talks about something called a partial decline. And he says a partial decline works 79% of the time. So let's open up and just look at partial decline for a second. Price should touch the top trend line and move down, but not touch or come that close to the bottom trend line before heading back up. It's a partial decline. You can see he has kind of an example of this. So he has the broadening wedge, and then he has a partial decline and what that looks like. Now, if we go to the ADA chart on the daily, you can see right now ADA is kind of in a partial decline. It's right in the middle of the broadening wedge. So I know when we look at these things, we're like, all right, well, it's either going to hit the trend line again at the lower trend line, or it's going to hit the upper trend line, and we're just waiting for confirmations, meaning the break below, just a bearish confirmation, or the break above, some bullish confirmation. But there is this partial decline data that Bulkowski talks about, and I found interesting because this is what ADA has been doing, just trading sideways right into the middle of the broadening wedge and kind of trading within this new curved trend line and this higher low trend line that we've talked about. So we're in this partial decline environment. And for ADA, and this is such a speculative thing that I'm talking about here, but this is what I do. This is why I do these videos. I'm just going to say it, everybody. It's not financial advice. I track the data on the charts. I enjoy looking at these things, studying these things. So I press record and I share it with you all. This helps me visualize things. It helps me create a plan for myself. It's why I do this. So hopping into this, if a partial decline plays out, I'm not even thinking, all right, we get a move to the upper trend line, right? And not only that, we enter just a whole new bullish environment. That's not what I'm using that partial decline theory for. I'm kind of using it for there's some type of rally ahead, even if it's a stock market going to get a nice little bounce, right, in the short to midterm. Bitcoin's going to get a nice little bounce in the short to midterm. I don't think we're completely out of the woods yet at all. I think there's going to be a really cold winter for the rest of this bear market. But if we get this environment where the partial decline at least brings the bulls in enough where we're getting some type of rally, this could set Cardano up for the second part of the crypto winter, which would be, and this is speculative, breakout somehow to the upside. Don't know where, haven't looked at targets really, but this upper trend line would be broken. So 60 cent would be broken in that kind of environment. But then if we enter the second part of this winter, ADA's actually falling above this upper trend line. Now, falling above this upper trend line and consolidating in the second part of this bear market could take ADA into the 30 cent range, even maybe below. But it's a better environment. If we can get that rally, this breakout out of this partial decline in the middle of the descending triangle or descending broadening wedge, if we could get that scenario, it's better than the scenario of just falling and actually starting to trickle down along the lower trend line. Because that's kind of the difference between a very painful bear market, the rest of this bear market would be this scenario, and kind of a softer landing, right, type of environment for this bear market. But either way, do you see how both scenarios, and you can actually see I have kind of a macro bearish sentiment, meaning I do think eventually one way or the other, ADA is going to trade within this rectangle. I just do at this point, because it's the state of what is happening in equity markets, and it's the state of the headlines and where we are just in terms of the Fed and all of the news and all of the things still that need to happen for the rest of this year. I don't think ADA is going to be entering a bull market right now. And if you look at a Bitcoin chart, The cycles of Bitcoin say that we could be kind of trading sideways for even up to a year, and that would be very common for crypto. So we're in kind of this bearish area, I would say, still, and we need to get through it. But these two scenarios are interesting to me. Each of these scenarios lead ADA into this rectangle. If it doesn't happen, that would be phenomenal. And I'm ready for that scenario where it doesn't happen. I've been buying ADA. It's just kind of light buys here and there. And that's kind of how I'm playing it right now. It's just I'm buying whenever I'm just kind of like, I feel like it and I feel comfortable with it a little. I'm not making these huge, crazy, like accumulation buys right now. That I'm waiting for kind of in this rectangle. If we fall in that rectangle, I don't know if it will be soon or if it will be after some type of rally and we trickle into it. Don't know what that looks like. Maybe we don't make it in there till December. Maybe it's actually this coming month in September. Whatever it is, that's kind of where I'm like, all right, it's already, in my view, a 45-cent ADA is extremely undervalued on the macro. In the long term, it's a great buy, in my opinion. That's not financial advice. But when we start making our way into this area now, that's when it's kind of, for me, it's a heavier accumulation area where I'm comfortable, especially with the state of the timeline, with where Bitcoin is, with where the stock market is, with even where we are with inflation. And there's still a lot of that story that needs to be told before inflation's coming back down even. But if ADA starts falling into this range, that's an amazing opportunity. I would say it's one that I'm prepared for. But it's interesting. You see the different scenarios here, and that's what we do. We sit here and we visualize these things. I'm not sitting here guessing. I'm not sitting here telling you what's going to happen next, everybody, because I simply don't know. But I sit here and I study these charts, and I study the data and kind of history and what has happened prior, and how it's all intertwined with equity markets, and it's all intertwined with Bitcoin cycles. And I make my own kind of decisions on how I want to accumulate things like ADA. And this is what it looks like for me. It's doing things like this. So I hope some of this data proved valuable to you. You see the volatility involved with this. You see the roller coaster ride involved with this. So when all is said and done, the best thing to do is to formulate your own plan based on these different scenarios. Yeah, it could go up. Yeah, it could go down. Yeah, it could go up and then down. It's the macro. In the long term, what do you think is going to happen, and what are you comfortable with doing? So that's what I'm going to continue doing. And I really want to start talking about that more, the macro thing, the macro plans that we can all have for ADA. Because at the end of the day, if you go to a weekly chart and you just zoom out, it kind of starts being like, yeah, I guess I see it. ADA could fall more. But even if it fell, if it fell to 20 cents, it's like, okay, this looks like it's happened before. Okay, in the long term, this looks like an incredible opportunity. That's where my head's at. And if you're still here with me at the end of this video, props to you, because so many people fall off. They don't want to hear, they want their predictions. So props to you if you're still here. Hit that like button. Let me know. I really appreciate you. We're going to continue tracking ADA. We'll continue tracking crypto. Hang in there, everybody. I know it's rough times right now. I will see you all in the next video. Have an awesome night. God bless.